Hey everybody, this is Craig from the University of Applied Research and Development and UARD here based in New Zealand. It's absolutely our honour to have with us Jim Foster. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So good to have you here. You have such an interesting background, particularly your time in the military. So why don't you tell us about your motivation for joining the military when you signed up?
For me, it was pretty easy. I had to come up with a way to pay for school, and so I ended up applying for a full tuition ROTC scholarship. Spent 4 years in ROTC, got my commission, and then started my Air Force career.
Wow. And how long were you in the Air Force for?
I served 10 years on active duty and 16 years in the California Air National Guard. During that time, I started off in acquisitions. I'm an engineer by degree, and so I bought space systems at LA Air Force Base. I transitioned I did some to intelligence. I started off with a stint of training and then an assignment in Japan, where I did some intelligence work. From there, I transitioned to information warfare in South Carolina. And today we call that cyber warfare, or more commonly known as cyber warfare. And then that's when I had a break in service, ended up trying a few things on the civilian side, ended up going back into the military and the Guard. I was a full-time guardsman for 16 years roughly, and then retired approximately 6 years ago out of the California National Guard.
Wow. Jim, I do want to say thank you for your service. It's a long 26 years to be serving.
You're welcome. I don't know what to say. I'm always uncomfortable when people say that to me.
Yeah, and I think that there's a culture that doesn't acknowledge that developing at the moment, and I would like to say it. So, thank you for your service, and I think that every service woman and man who is actively serving or has served before needs to know that the rest of us really appreciate you, appreciate your time, and ultimately the sacrifice that you could make to make sure that we have the freedoms that we enjoy in the world in our respective countries. So, thank you for being committed to doing that for us.
You're welcome, I guess.
You said about buying space programs was one of your responsibilities. So I'm thinking about you're buying a rocket for people to go to Mars. What does that mean, buying space programs?
You're actually very close. I worked initially on the Titan IV program, which launched a lot of satellites or military satellites into space. I did some space laser research, and the last thing I did there was the Defense Support Program, which is the U.S. satellite system that monitors for nuclear attack. If a foreign country was going to launch an intercontinental ballistic missile towards the U.S., we would detect it. Various means, but one means would be through a space system called the Defense Support System, which is a constellation of satellites around the planet.
So. Wow. And so you've mentioned that you traveled and lived overseas. You've lived in different places when you fulfilled different roles. Tell us about some of the deployments or places you've lived and opportunities and experiences you've had.
Japan was wonderful. I did intelligence work there. It was amazing. I loved the exposure to different cultures. It was my first time as an adult living outside of the country and getting used to different people, different foods, different things. We're very fortunate in being English speakers because English is spoken most around the world. The other thing is I had a deployment to Italy where I spent some time there working, Joint Task Force Provide Promise, which was the Bosnia-Herzegovina war way back in the mid-90s. That was good too. It was a lot of hard work. We did get a little bit of time off to do a little bit of exploring, but that was spending a lot of time basically. That was my intelligence work. I was responsible for manning a 24/7 intelligence reception center. So we were collecting the data for that was information that was happening on the ground and through various sources and communicating that to the NATO leadership. And then my last overseas stint was actually after I retired, got a job in Germany, and so lived there for about a year, also working on base, but as a civilian, and really enjoyed that stint as well. So 3 different countries kind of got me the travel bug bite, and so now I look forward to traveling. I look forward to seeing different places I haven't seen before, and that's kind of one of the reasons I'm here in New Zealand talking to you.
I think that's amazing. So you're here in New Zealand, and you get to decide how long you want to be here. Tell us about
Mhm.
some of the motivations behind that and what you've been doing.
Okay, so when I left active duty, or when I left the military, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, when I grew up.
Mm.
Um, and so one of the things that happened when I was in Japan is I worked for the VITA program, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program run by the IRS. And that got me helping. They gave us a little training. And then after that, we helped service members and their families file their taxes. And so the idea I hit upon after I retired was um, getting back into that line of work, doing taxes, but now getting paid for it. It was really attractive for me because tax season or taxes in the U.S. is complicated, so there's job security there. It's also seasonal. It typically runs from January to April. If you're overseas, it can go up to June, and then it's pretty much stops for the year. A lot of professional tax preparers want to look for year-round work, so they incorporate bookkeeping or other services into their businesses. But for me, I didn't want to do that. I had traveled through various opportunities in the military. I didn't talk about my leisure travel when I was overseas, and obviously that gave me opportunities to launch to other countries and visit other countries as well. I've been to about 35, 40 countries so far,
Wow.
four countries this year alone. But the beauty of the seasonal nature of tax work is it allowed me to work for 4 to 6 months a year, and then give me that balance of the time to travel as I saw fit. And so that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I mentioned I've been to 4 countries this year. I've been to Costa Rica, Panama, Portugal, and now New Zealand, which is where I'll stay through the rest of the year.
Love it. Love it. Post COVID, all around the world. It's wonderful.
Yep. Yep.
So when you say that you just do the seasonal work, so you only prepare people's taxes for submission for their end of year financial returns. You don't do the extra work like bookkeeping. You just use that time to enjoy travel, meeting people, and enjoying yourself.
Absolutely. That was the whole point of getting into this business. I run away from business opportunities that may put me into a year-round commitment. So I don't want to do that. And
I love
being
it.
retired from the military helps. I was a full-time guardsman, so I have a civilian pension. As a guardsman, my military pension kicks in when I turn 60, so that's going to be a nice supplement to my income. And so between the seasonal work and my pension, I can afford to do what I'm doing.
Awesome. Amazing. Really great for military personnel who might be similar, have a similar background to you, or thinking that doing accounting or bookkeeping or doing taxes could be something that they would like to do. It's good for them to know that there are these opportunities out there. They don't necessarily, not that it's a bad thing, but don't necessarily need to work the 9 to 5 job, stay in the state that they were raised in, and they can actually have these global travel opportunities. I think that's a wonderful example for them. Your transition when you left full time in the military, Jim, was it a difficult transition? Because you sound like quite a planner and a thinker and someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I tried a few things that didn't work. I initially left and became a stockbroker, um, and quickly learned that the military doesn't gear you to a profit motive. There's a huge level of profit
Mm,
motive. The military's. I found the life of service something I enjoy, and in the stockbroker business, it's heavily driven by profits. And I didn't like the people I was working with. There was a lot of what I would call greed. I felt there some of the people I worked with would sell their own mothers to make a dime. Um, and so it was just a really uncomfortable environment. I tried
mm.
teaching, and that actually worked out pretty well. But I got my teaching credential. I was in a classroom teaching math. And then I got the call meanwhile, I joined the Guard since I had more than 10 years active duty service. I wanted to take advantage of that. By joining the Guard, I could then earn a military retirement. And my initial plan was just to do it part-time, the weekend warrior type thing, and do that for a few years. But because of my background and the skill set I had, I was actually recalled to active duty, or asked to go back to active duty. So I did that for 2 years. And then after 2 years, they gave me a permanent civilian position, basically doing the same job, but just as a GS guardsman. and then that's how I finished out my total time there. So yeah, so I have about 16 years equivalent active duty in that 26 years of service time.
Wow. And so right now you're in New Zealand. Whereabouts in New Zealand are you?
I'm currently in Wellington. It's beautiful here. It's green. It's lush. I'm from Southern California, where it's desert most of the year. It's kind of mind-boggling because coming from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, the weather's completely turned around. I love that it's springtime here and everything's in bloom and green and beautiful. Back where I came from, California just got hit with a pretty big storm that I managed to dodge. Of course, it's also dry and wintry or getting colder, but I love it. I love it. I love avoiding the bad weather and taking advantage of the good weather that we have down here.
So how are you finding the Kiwis? Are we looking after you?
Oh yeah, Kiwis are amazing. You guys are super friendly. Everywhere I go, people are sweet and kind. They've helped me out when I've gotten stuck in various things. Fortunately, it's an English-speaking country, so it's pretty easy. This driving on the left and passing on the left thing is kind of weird for me. When I'm walking around, I tend to head towards the right, which is great in America, but you've got it kind of different back here. You're kind of to the left type folks. And so that's just a little bit, driving on the left. I've done a little bit of that, not a whole lot, but it takes a little getting used to.
Yeah. Just for everyone who's watching, the North New Zealand has 3 islands, and the North Island is where Auckland and Wellington are. So Jim is in the south of the North Island. I'm in the middle to top of the North Island, and right now we still have 3 veterans right here in New Zealand involved in a program called Do Hard Things with Army Major Jay Tiggs, and his Do Hard Things program is a real physical challenge, jumping off the Sky Tower, going caving, looking at the glowworms, going on the jet boating across the Rotorua Lake, enjoying local Maori culture and seeing performances. So there's a great opportunity for veterans to come down here. I'm delighted that you said, Jim, and just for everyone's sake, I didn't pay Jim any money to say that we are nice people, but I keep getting that feedback from Jay and Melissa and Rodney, who are with us already, 2 Army veterans and 1 from the Navy saying that. And now we've got an Air Force person and National Guard person saying that we're nice. So we do encourage veterans to connect with us at uard.university/did you know, because not too many people know that the VA will fund your study time down here with us, which involves a lot of tourism as well. And for those who are thinking of retiring from the military, Jim, what might be 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you'd give them as they're thinking about, they've got transition time coming up? What should they put in place to do that well?
I think a couple of things. The military mandates the TAP program, and so definitely take advantage of that. There's actually a lot of services there, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate what they can do for you. Something like me, I eventually landed in self-employment, so I was able to take care of participate in a program called Bootstraps, I think it was called. It's run out of Carnegie Mellon University, and it's a entrepreneurial program that you can actually take while you're still in uniform, and walk you through the steps of what it would take to run your own business and that kind of thing, which is something I did participate in. And that helped me get things set up and get me thinking about, marketing plans and a business plan and how I would conduct my business. But also, I think the biggest thing is to think about post-military career. I had an opportunity to do it twice. The first time didn't really work out very well. Stock stuff was a lot of fun, but primarily sport. Unsung but going back me and fit my style, and so I went back and then of course not my and I guess about 2 years. Um,
Jim, I'm not sure if you can hear me okay. The internet
Yes.
seems to be a bit slow and we've got quite a bit of
I
lag.
had a better idea of doing very
Everyone, I think that Jim's internet has just slowed down a little bit there, but I do want to say that reinforce that Jim does do tax returns for Americans. And so with the show notes, you will see the link to the URL to his LinkedIn profile. So if you need to get your taxes filed, whether you're an active service personnel, a veteran, or anyone who's a US citizen, wherever you may be in the world, Jim's available to do that. And as you heard, he likes to do that for tax season, then enjoy his time traveling the world. So if you need your taxes done, do reach out to Jim. Look at the show notes that go with this video, whichever platform you're looking on, whether that's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitch or somewhere else. Do reach out to Jim and he can serve you with getting your taxes done. And if you're interested and you're a veteran and coming to New Zealand, VA funded as part of your GI Bill, do reach out to us. Visit uard.university/did you know? Reach out to us directly, or you can email me, craig@uard.university, and we'll help you come to New Zealand, VA funded, enable you to achieve your degree or your master's and have a wonderful time tourisming here in New Zealand. So thank you so much to be with us. And for Jim, thank you so much as well for your time and for your service and for what you're doing right now as well. So thanks, everybody. We look forward to seeing you again on another Veteran Stories here with UARD.